Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Clash of Clubs, episode 104. I'm Dylan alongside Mila and Grant, as always, and today we're joined by a very special guest. It doesn't happen often that we let Liverpool fans come and talk on the show. I think we've only ever had it once, and it was an episode where I wasn't here. So, like, you are royalty right now. Peyton, welcome in. How are you?
I'm honored. I'm excited to be on. Not much to talk about when it comes to the LA Galaxy, right? Well, there is a lot to talk about, but not a lot of positives. So excited for the club soccer season to start back in Europe, or club football season. And so thank you for having me on.
Yeah, dude. Happy to have you on. Really quickly before we get into the intro video and everything that we're going to talk about, go ahead and plug everywhere that you are currently doing Liverpool stuff.
Yeah, so it's just Anfield Headlines _ on Instagram. So if you want to keep up to date with the latest Liverpool content, anything related to the club, I post probably 4 times a day on that account. We're trying to hit 20K followers by the end of the year. We'll see if that ends up happening. We're still a ways away, but I think it's a fun goal to look towards. So yeah, Anfield Headlines _
You are one of the busiest men in the business when it comes to putting out content on Instagram. It's funny, like looking at your feed, it's just like constant. Like I said, we don't do the Liverpool stuff often, and now that you're always on the feed, at least I know what's going on with Liverpool to a point where when we talk about them more broadly, I at least have an understanding, because I try to block you guys out of my memory as much as possible. But you guys have had one of the craziest transfer window, or like just a crazy couple of years here. You won a league, then you had last season. Well, I'll have you kind of go into that in a little bit. And we'll talk about just the fiasco that's been this summer, right? You guys have had crazy turmoil and overturn and all that stuff. And we'll have you on for that portion. And then eventually you will leave us, because if we have you on and we try to talk about our teams, I have a feeling it might get the hour and 10 minutes that we normally hit might be 2 hours. So you know how it works. Like, there's too much to get riled up about if you have to talk about all 3 of our clubs separately.
Which there's a lot of mixed emotions and feelings. Everyone's a fan of a different team here, so plenty to talk about. So I get that.
Exactly. And I guess without further ado, let's kick on into it. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Clash of Clubs. I'm Dylan. They just got punched in the mouth. They didn't even know how to react.
That is one Derby Diamond.
I'm Mila. Do we want to do a little predickie? That was the last time they showed an initiative to go get a fucking player.
Good, he's still alive here. Balotelli, Aguero.
I'm Grant. They're talking a lot about you 15. How will you respond 15?
We downgraded from Peppa. Do you know how absurd that is?
Ladies and gentlemen, it's match day.
I'm going to plug our stuff. I'm going to have this in the middle here. It's just a StreamYard technicality. That's our page. We are currently at 861 subscribers as of today. Thank you guys very, very much. We're on the road to 1,000, but more realistic goal for the foreseeable future, 900 before the Premier League season. That is what we are aiming for. Okay, so Peyton, you want to kind of summarize how the hell Liverpool got to this summer and what the fuck has happened through the course of winning the league? I mean, some super parallels to both of your club teams, but going from winning the league to a season that would probably be considered a failure. How the hell did we get here with Liverpool?
Yeah, I mean, look, last summer, if you told me that we would have ended up struggling as bad as we did if you asked me, we would have probably had one of, if not the best transfer window in club history. After last summer, we were feeling it. On top of winning the league title, you had Florian Wirtz, Alexander Isak, Jeremy Frimpong, who's experienced in the Bundesliga, Milos Kerkez, one of the best left backs in the Prem before he came to Liverpool, just among other names. I was like, all right, we're gonna repeat. Nobody can convince me otherwise. But it all fell apart. It's easy to blame it all on Arne Slot. I think that his time did run up at the club, and it was just time to move on. You talk about parallels, maybe some parallels to Greg Vanney there, in terms of, good coach, he'll succeed elsewhere. But, sometimes it just runs its course at the club. When I think about last season, there's a stat that pops out to me in particular. Through the first 30 games of last season, Liverpool were outran 26 out of 30 matches. Compare that to the Jurgen Klopp era. It's unthinkable. It's absolutely unthinkable that it could happen to a Liverpool team. They look lethargic. You had injuries to Alexander Isak. Hugo Ekitike ended up tearing his Achilles. Jeremy Frimpong couldn't stay on the field. Connor Bradley tore his Achilles. You saw a little sign of regression with Virgil van Dijk. Konate had a disastrous season. Allison couldn't stay on the pitch. Kirkes started off slow for the first probably 5 months of that season. And just the new summer signings, Florian Wirtz, I mean, I still believe in him. I think the fan base has been very harsh on him at times. He wasn't good last season. He was not good. He was incredibly average for a player that lit up the Bundesliga. A lot of people want to go on that revisionism path and be like, oh, he was never really that good. No, I like Leverkusen. I watched Leverkusen. Florian Wirtz was that guy. He was wanted by Manchester City, wanted by Bayern Munich. He had all sorts of suitors. He could have just stayed in the Bundesliga. He would be amazing right now in the Bundesliga for Bayern, but he decided to make that step up to the Premier League, and it's just the physical side of it. He hasn't looked up to it. He hasn't looked up to par with the physicality of the Premier League. And I mean, his ball striking ability is just, for as much as I love him, it's awful sometimes. It looks like he's, trying to hit the ball like kindly. It's just a lot of things did not fall into place, but I think Arne Slot's tactics became stale. The effort just from the team on the pitch in general was not there. It just looked like the locker room had given up on him at a point. The Mohamed Salah post, that whole contract situation, haven't even touched on that yet. It was just everything that could have gone wrong went wrong last season, and we still somehow made the Champions League. Unbelievable. We did not deserve a Champions League spot. So, and that leads us to Ndani Iraola, former Bournemouth manager, Arne Slot. There was a lot of reports that he was going to stay. The Fab bomb, I remember where I was at the time that Slot got sacked. Greatest news to me, because I was not excited to see him return for this season. I know you had like Ornstein saying that his job was secure. They would give him another season, and they don't. And immediately they're like, Iriola's the guy. Stylistically, this is what works best for Liverpool Football Club. It's the high pressing, it's the relentless energy that we haven't seen since the Jurgen Klopp era. So yeah, that's how we got here.
Nuts, dude. Like we talked about it. I mean, we love to hate on Liverpool. It's probably like the one thing that we do best on this channel. It's one of them. Arsenal's also up there, but honestly, just watching it as a fan of the Premier League, it was just kind of jarring. Like me and Grant, I think, had a video without Milo where we talked about the Isak transfer, and we went, well, if they get him, like, is there really any team that can compete with them talent-wise? And the answer at the time was no, but clearly over the course of the season, that has gone down quite a bit. But Grant, you're the Chelsea fan, and for the entirety of the season, while Slot was kind of shitting his pants, they were linked to Xavi, and that doesn't happen, and they pivot to Alonso, right? Or sorry, they pivot to Areola. A lot of names, but your opinion, Grant, what do you think that this manager signing? It's the biggest thing that happened this summer for Liverpool, regardless of the signings that come in or out. The biggest thing is their new manager and the tactics that he will put in place. Do you think this is going to be a nailed-on home run? Or are you skeptical? What do you think?
No, I think in hindsight, the lack of pursuit for Xabi Alonso makes a lot of sense. Like you just said, stylistically, Iraola it's a perfect fit for Liverpool and what they want to do. Get them back to what they were doing typically at their best. And Xabi Alonso, for as much of a club legend as he was at Liverpool, I think the fit makes a lot more sense for him at Chelsea. And even if you switched it, Iraola and Chelsea, I don't think that would have worked. It wouldn't have been a great fit. So at the end of the day, maybe Liverpool kept it quiet that they wanted to let Slot go, because realistically, if they did let him go and they didn't bring in Xabi when he was available, Iraola would have come into a tough situation before even a game kicked off. So Whether they did that on purpose or not, I think it was for the best. I think both teams got a manager that best suits their group of players. So it did seem very, very confusing for, I think, over a month. Slot could have went and Chabby was right there. Then we got him, and almost within weeks, Slot was gone. So I think it's the right move, but I still think with the way Iraola plays, if you look at Bournemouth's teams as good as they were, also injury ridden because of how high they press. We saw the quotes today. They're at 30 minutes. They can't do it for 90 minutes. And Liverpool squad, the big thing last year was they have talent, but not depth. And they still don't really have that depth. So I think there's a lot to get done. I think they will do some business before the transfer window closes. Araujo, I think that one's an interesting one because where they're at right now, it makes sense. Loan him in. You have these really good young players like Leone, Jaquette, but you're not sure if they can produce every week across all fronts. So I get the Araujo move, but at the same time, you put yourself in this position of not having that depth to make the Araujo move make sense at this point in the window. So really jarring, like you said, Dylan, when they first started falling off, and now it's a bit jarring that they haven't addressed this squad depth issue.
It's just been it's puzzling, right? I mean, as a fan of the club, do you feel like confused at the way that everything has gone with the amount of money that was spent, which was not the typical Liverpool MO, and then to go into this summer with a similar vibe? Like, was that kind of off-putting? Like where I mean, there might be a signing here or there, but a loan move and then a youth player and then like maybe Barcola still, like that might be the whole window for Liverpool, right? I mean, you know more than we would in terms of transfers. What's your general?
And if you bring Barcola in, who's on the right? There's it's go ahead.
Liverpool have been looking at another PSG winger, Ibrahim Mbaye, 18-year-old Senegalese winger, very, very highly regarded talent, and I think he would be a good signing. For as much as we can make these $115 million signings, it's not sustainable, and it's not something that you could do every summer. Then again, we might sign Barcola for more than that. But I think I like a Liverpool team that gets in their, $30 to $40 million bag. It's look at classic Liverpool signing Mohamed Salah. It wasn't an insane transfer fee. Sadio Mane. Some of these players that have come in and be legends of the club haven't been signed for crazy high transfer fees. Victor Munoz came in this summer. Could he turn out to be a solution off the right? He could play both wings. Ibrahim Mbaye, I think, could do it. I've seen some things about could Dominic Szoboszlai play off the right. We haven't seen it much in preseason. Not the right wing, but like, kind of like an inverted winger and getting into that half space is something that potentially Szoboszlai could do. But I think they actually want to get a naturally, a natural right player. And Donny Irilla has talked about wanting his wingers to play off of both wings. Victor Munoz can do that. They're trying to convert Rio and Gamoa to do both of that. He's struggling a little bit in preseason. He is. He's played off the right and he hasn't looked that impressive. It's something that they're going to have to work on throughout the season, but Ibrahim Mbaye is another one of those players that can do that. So I think he will come in and potentially play in that for Liverpool. And then, they just have a rotation. You have three options there between Mbaye. I don't think they'll play Barcola off the right. If you spend all that money, you're going to put him in his natural position. You're not gonna force him off the right for probably $25 million when it's all said, or euros. So I think it's a little puzzling, but I think Ronald Araujo is the type of move that's going to save you money. They could have easily brought in another center back for, $40-50 million like Ezri Konsa, who could play both the center back and right back spot for Liverpool. But we want to invest in other positions. We know we have other needs. And Ronald Araujo, I know people, I guess we could get on this topic now. I know people want to bash on it. People want to be like, oh, he was awful the last 2 seasons for Barca. And he was. He's very inconsistent. My positive from this is I don't think he's going to be relied on as the starter once Giovanni Leone and Jeremy Jacquet, once they're both back from their injuries, and it looks like Jacquet will be available this weekend for our final preseason game. So he's a big talent as well. They brought him in January. But he stayed in France for another 6 months, ended up getting a shoulder injury, and he's still rehabbing that currently. So I think he is the starter at that right center back spot alongside Virgil van Dijk. And if you could have Ronald Araujo play that kind of utility role where he could be a third or fourth choice center back, then that's fine. He's not going to be relied upon to be the starter. This is such a low risk signing for me. Okay, he sucks. He doesn't work out. You don't play him. It's fine. You don't play him much. You have Leone and you have Jeremy Jacquet. He's good. There you go. You have a solution in your depth chart. You talk about Liverpool not having depth. This is a guy that could add to that. And he could also play right back. The club's been talking about playing him at right back until Connor Bradley comes back, probably in October-ish. Jeremy Frimpong hasn't been very consistent or reliable, injury-wise or on the field. So I think Ronald Araujo he's a utility player, and a change of scenery away from Barca might do him really good. But they've already stressed that he's not going to be the long-term guy. They're not triggering the buy-on option probably. So.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Mila, we talked about it this weekend when the Bomba happened. I will get to the super chat in a second. Mila, we talked about Araujo because you and Grant saw him play live. And you had the conversation that he was really good before. I think it was his hamstring that exploded.
Whatever injury it was
Muscle
during
injuries.
the Copa.
Right. So do you think that this can be / will be a good signing for Liverpool, or is this just another signing in the arsenal?
At the end of the day, I think physically he makes sense for a Premier League team.
Mm-hmm.
He has that willingness to go into tackles, and he can be a little rash sometimes, but we've seen that in the Premier League. We currently see that in the Premier League. So if he's not your main center back, I think he could do a job. But if you look at recent tape, I wouldn't be confident in saying that he's going to do a good job. But that's what these types of moves are for. I think it's to get that player's career back up and running, and like we were saying, that it's a low risk loan move for the club. I think he might be a little more relied upon than you were alluding to, but that's only because your other options are so young. They're very inexperienced for a Premier League or just this level football. So I do see him maybe playing a bit more in the beginning and phasing them into the squad. But yeah, I think he might be all right, but it can go awry very quickly, and then he's such an easy player to scapegoat. So I could totally see it going that direction too.
Yeah, I kind of also see him playing at least to start, but like you said, you have a 35-year-old Van Dijk and then 2 prospects, and then the rest are academy players, if I'm not mistaken. Joe Gomez, but injury history, I just don't even expect him to be there all season. Yeah, he's going to be someone that's leaned on, but I think best case scenario, one of Leone or Jacquet really breaks through. They're the week in, week out starter next to Van Dijk, and then you have time to address that next summer as long as Araujo is serviceable, because I think you can have an argument over multiple positions for what do Liverpool need to prioritize. You need a winger. You need midfield depth, maybe real 6. Right back, Frimpong and Bradley are very injury prone. Center back, obviously, you could still bring in one more guy. You up and down the pitch, there's things that need to be addressed. So with that context, getting Araujo in on loan, it's good business, but who knows if he'll be able to turn it around.
All right, now we'll get to that super chat, and because Grant's your team, you can answer it.
I mean, we've watched Araujo play football, right? And I think with our center backs, you have Colwell. I'll put Lacroix there, and then there's a huge drop off. Achampong's a prospect, hard to really say. Hato's a left back, but yeah, Badiashile, Disasi, Tosin, the other guy who's no longer on the team. Yeah, none of them. They're all awful.
Yeah, I'm actually while it's hilarious because him as a general theme of a player right now is just kind of
Oh,
weird.
the profile fits great next to Colwell. He's
Dude,
just not good.
I don't know if he's good or not because I've seen him at his peak and it's very.
We literally have Fofana. It's the same thing.
Good. No. I'm not talking about.
They
Chelsea
were good on
players,
FIFA a few years ago.
Like just talking about Araujo though. Like I think for Liverpool, the question for Liverpool is, can Van Dijk get the best out of him? Right? Can you put because I think for Barca, the thing that kind of got swept under the rug is I think he was captain for a bit. He was supposed to be a leader for a bit. He clearly dealt with some mental stuff in between that portion. By removing him from the spotlight of what Barcelona are, especially in Hansi Flick's line, can you potentially get the best out of who he is and what his talent is, which is he's a freak athlete. Like if he's healthy, he's like I would say he's one of the top tier athletes at center back. And you guys probably saw that firsthand. Like he's got speed. He's huge. Like he could be a great signing. The question is like when you're getting a lone player as like the fill-in, that's a good thing. But it also, if you're relying on him, Peyton, to your point, like week over week, like that's not the position that will help him grow. I think the best case scenario is, like you said, one of those youth players take the leap pretty quickly. And then he's able to give you that like FA Cup run or the Carabao Cup run, or even on a Champions League night can just give you experience in those positions. Yeah, it's true. That's not. Yeah, no, it isn't exactly where he went. But I'd like to think that good players, if they are in the right environment, they can get themselves back into advantageous positions. And I will hate on him because I'm a United fan, but I think that at some point I have a feeling that it's actually going to be a pretty decent signing. Now, will they keep the loan? Okay, so what's the best case scenario? Do you think that this is a player that you would want to see stay, even if the loan, he has a great season? Would you want them to pick up that? It's like 50 or 60 million, isn't it?
It's like 45 million pounds.
It's 55 million euros. I think he would have to get back to near 2023 Araujo for him for that to be in consideration. I think most likely what the club ends up doing is they let the loan expire. I think best case scenario, he's just a reliable stopgap. You know, like you guys talked about, Leone and Jacquet are very young center backs. You know, there's going to be growing pains if you're starting them week in, week out. And they are injury prone in their own right. So if you're relying on them, you're gonna struggle a bit this season. But if you could have that balance in there with Araujo, and I think, you know, what better center back to pair him up with than Virgil van Dijk? And I think Araujo fits an Iriola system very well with how aggressive and high up the pitch he wants his teams to win the ball. For the better or worse, it's Araujo's game. You know, he's overly aggressive at times. His injury track record is the big negative for me as well. Is like you mentioned it, how consistently can this guy stay on the field for Liverpool? All these sort of muscle issues, you know, is he going to be going to a certain place in the middle of the season? I hope not, and I think this will be a good change of scenery for him. But I understand why fans are skeptical. At the end of the day, I always just fall back on, it's a loan and you're just paying his salary. He took salary reduction. So we're going to be paying like $11 million of his salary, which is still a lot, but it's better than making like a $50-60 million signing in that position, like an Ezri Konsa. In my opinion, you figure it out next season. Van Dijk's probably going to leave after, and it's going to be a whole new issue. But that's next season's problem. And, you know, Jarell Quansah, we have a buyback option on him. If he takes another step forward with Bayer Leverkusen this season, you know, maybe use that Araujo money on Quansah and bring him back. So there's definitely sorts of options they could look at next season, but I think this Araujo signing is more favorable in my mind than a lot of Liverpool fans give it credit for. And, you know, you'll see a highlight reel or low light reel of him playing like crap for Barca, and it's just like, you know, I get it. He's not in good form. He hasn't been good for a few years. I think a change of scenery could be good to get the best out of him. In worst case scenario, you know, you just don't rely on him as much as you probably would hope to. So
yeah, that is probably the best case scenario. Before we switch to the expectations and the season preview for Liverpool, the expectations and goals, I do want to talk about Barcola, because it seems like that is progressing to a point where he is going to be a Liverpool player. right? Whether that gets swept out from underneath, we don't know. We're going to assume that he will become a Liverpool player. So Mila, in the absence of now Mo Salah leaving, and there obviously being a giant hole to fill, is Bradley Barcola the guy for Liverpool? Do you think that's the signing that they should be making?
No. I mean, if you're trying to replace what Salah brings to the team, like obviously, no, Barcola is not going to be that guy. He doesn't have that clinical nature to his game, and I feel like that's one of the big talking points against him as a player is what he does inside the box in the final third. But if they're willing, if the idea is to go take a chance and the profiles an Mbai or a Barcola, then those guys have extremely high ceilings. Very good dribblers, very athletic. Like you could do a lot worse. I just think if the idea is to replace the GNA that Mo Salah brought to the team, like Barcola and Mbai are not those guys. But then again, it's super hard to find a high output winger like that in today's game in general. So without making it be like one of the world class guys. So yeah, among the options, I think Barcola is an okay option, but again, not going to replace Salah.
This whole summer has been such a weird one in terms of the transfer evaluations and how much players are worth, right? Because I think what's the rumored price tag for Barcola right now? Like 110?
PSG want 170 million euros for him. Liverpool value him at about 100 million, so I think it'll get done at about like 135.
What? Okay, so you're a Liverpool fan. You guys just spent 100+ million on two players twice last window. You just said that wasn't like the bread and butter for Liverpool. What do you
Yeah.
feel about this Barcola signing? Was that worth the money?
I think that, look, if we're talking about replacing Mo Salah, I don't think there's a single player realistically that could replace Mo Salah. I think, Yan Diomande was an option earlier this summer. He's going for about 115 million euros, I believe it was, to Madrid. So I don't think this is as far-fetched in such an inflated market. I mean, I rather have Bradley Barcola than Yan Diomande, in my opinion, just because Barcola's been here for years. He's been a top class winger, and I think that Yan Diomande is a little bit of a risk. He's only had one good season in the Bundesliga. We just signed a player from the Bundesliga that hasn't been performing up to the standard. So there's at least a risk aspect in that. But he can be incredible. Diamande can. Barcola, I think, is the guy. He is the real deal. You know what you will get out of him. He will light up the Prem, in my opinion. Will he be a like-for-like Salah replacement? No. Like you said, he's not as clinical. His finishing has been an issue, but he's an electrifying winger, and I think he wanted to leave PSG to go be a star somewhere. Look at everybody he's trapped behind at PSG. Kvaratskhelia, Dembele, Doué. They just made even more signings this summer. I think it's Guts. He's
Agliouche
gonna.
too.
Yeah, Agliouche. These are incredible players that are just, he wants to be a star somewhere, and I think he can be a star here. So he is worth that money. I think when it's said and done, he will, bold prediction maybe, I think he will be one of the best signings Liverpool make probably this century, honestly. And I'll go as far as that. I think Barcola will be a superstar in the more safe than a guy like Florian Wirtz, because Barcola is that guy, and he can reach that potential. So, will he be a like-for-like Salah replacement? No. If you're looking for a Salah replacement in terms of importance to this team, it was last summer. It was Isak. Not the same position, but if we're talking in terms of importance to Liverpool going into the future, this team is Isak's team now. It was the second best striker, in my opinion, in the Premier League at a point, behind Erling Haaland. He can be incredible. He had that injury, he broke his leg last season, but I'm huge on him. I think if he stays healthy, which, yeah, that has been a bit of a concern, if he could stay healthy, this is a guy that in all competitions could get you anywhere from 25 to 35 goals per season. He's incredible. And I think that his link up with Verts and Barcola in the attack is just something that you look at and you're like, all right, now we're starting to cook something here. And then, yeah, it's just whoever wins that right wing spot, whether that's Rio off the right, whether that's, Victor Munoz off the right, whether that's Ibrahim Mbaye off the right. It's just they're gonna cook. I'm huge on a Barcola signing, and I think this is the last time we'll spend money like that for a while, and unless we desperately need a number 6 next season, which I think we need a number 6 this season. I just don't think it has to be an Adam Wharton. I think it could be a Kone for maybe 50 million. It could be a guy like Kone who could. We haven't had a brute force in the midfield. I know I'm kind of going off topic here, but we haven't
That's
had
true.
we haven't had a Fabinho replacement. It just hasn't been the case for Liverpool. I mean, Gravenberch stylistically isn't a Fabinho. He is technically a number 6, but for the Netherlands, he was most comfortable almost playing the number 8 role. And could he work in a double pivot with Szoboszlai? It has worked before. But I think at least depth-wise, we need a number 6, and I'm okay with selling Curtis Jones. I know a lot of our fan base, he's a Scouser. Nobody wants to sell the Scouser. He's a fan favorite, potential vice captain nominee. He hasn't impressed me in preseason. He didn't impress me that much last season. I know the underlying numbers would suggest otherwise. But if we're talking about a guy that you could rely on consistently, I think if you get an offer of 35 million euros from a team like Inter Milan, you take it and you reinvest it in a guy like Kone. But I'm real interested to see how this midfield goes. But Barcola, yes, I'm all for it. I think that would be a massive, massive signing. I'm so high on him.
You didn't go
Yeah.
off topic. I was going to say midfield because you can't replace Salah. You have to
Yeah.
replace him in the aggregate. There's no option realistically that you can just plug and play and get that type of output from. So you need your attack to be on it. Like you said, Isak, and best way to really platform your attack is to have a stable base and have a stable spine. And for as good a player as Gravenberch is, like you said, that's not his natural role. It's not his best role. He's done a hell of a job there, but that doesn't come to him naturally.
To think that Iriola can't work with a guy like Barcola and make him really productive seems naive a little bit. Like that's what he's done over the last few seasons, has made really productive wingers and the likes of Semenyo. Like
I
a little
think it's the
different,
best
right?
option on the market. I think it's the best option
Yeah,
on the market.
the one of the ones that are left, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the money's not that crazy to me. And like you said, paid
No.
in this market, that's Morgan Rogers money. it's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
that crazy.
He
It's
contributed,
really not that crazy.
Yeah, he contributed in back-to-back Champions Leagues, right?
Yeah.
Like for a really good side. So he's got the pedigree at this point at really, really young age. Like you could be buying the boom before it happens.
Yeah.
I mean, he started
As crazy as that sounds,
and played for France.
that
Isn't that
price.
not like, yeah, but that's the market.
Yeah.
All right, so we've gotten to that point. We have to talk about what the expectations are and / the goals for Liverpool are going into this season, right? You guys probably last season the expectation was to repeat and go super far in the Champions League. That clearly didn't happen, and you've almost hit a reset. So the question is what is the expectation for Liverpool coming into this season? Like if you had to check off and say an A+ season for Liverpool is this, what would it be?
It's difficult because I don't think this team's set up to win titles right now. At least Premier League or Champions League. I'm going to be realistic. I'm not a homer. Arsenal are far better off right now. I think we could all agree on this podcast that we hate Arsenal. That core, the amount of depth that they have, it's incredible. We can't compare to that at this moment. I think when Slot took over, it was drastically different than when Iriola's taking over. I saw that quote earlier today that right now my players could only run 30 minutes. What? Like I'm glad that our manager is being that blunt to say that, hey, especially in a high pressing system where you're playing in every competition and you're expected to compete. Iriola's never managed a team that played in the UCL. To manage a team like that, you're going to need a lot of depth, and we don't have it right now. So an A+ season for me would probably be making like quarters or semis of the Champions League, and then Premier League probably A+ season would be second place. I just think first is out of the question. And maybe you could, nab a trophy like the FA Cup or Carabao Cup, but I don't think we have the depth for that right now. So realistically, I think this is heading more towards a third/fourth place finish. And it's a little unfortunate. I think one of the reasons Jan Diamande rejected us was because he said that they look like they're in a transition season, and I want to go to a place that I could win right now. And you go to Madrid, that team's stacked. Yeah, they can compete for every trophy right now. So I understand it. I think the fans are gonna have to be patient. Uh, Expectations wise, I think that's what we're looking at. But just to touch right back on the midfield real quick, I know you wanted me to mention a few like underlying prospects we
Yeah.
talked before the podcast.
Yeah, please do.
I'm going to contradict myself here. I know I said that we might need another midfield signing. I want to point to a guy that I believe has been our best player this preseason. Trey Nioni. Trey Nioni, the 18-year-old midfielder for Liverpool, has been outstanding this preseason. In fact, I would put him ahead if I was putting out a lineup against Newcastle, our opening match. Yeah, what a fixture that's going to be away at St. James. I would have Trey Nioni starting over McAllister and Gravenberg. I think he's been that good. And his ball progression it's immense. He does it better than Ryan Gravenberg. I think if you're looking to get the best out of Florian Wirtz, I think Trey Nioni and Dominic Soboslai, a midfield trio of that would just, I think it would cook. And I believe in his potential. Is he a week in, week out starter? No, probably not. But I think, if you rely on an 18-year-old, I love Rio and Gamoa. He's not an every game starter. You can't burn these players out too early in their career, but I almost wouldn't want to stunt his development. And that's another thing when we look at signing Barcola. Liverpool are in a weird long-term position here. Hugo Ekitike is going to be behind Alexander Isak for the next probably 5 years, if not more. How do you figure that out? How do you figure that out? Rio and Gamoa, for as good as he is going to be stuck behind Bradley Barcola, he agreed on personal terms through a contract of 2032, I believe it was. You're going to be stuck in a very hard spot that you might end up seeing a player like Hugo Ekitike, for as good as he was last season, probably our second best player behind Soboslai. He might end up leaving the club at a point, not imminently. I know he's still rehabbing his Achilles tear, and you just can't rely on him this season. That's why I would keep Gakpo. For as bad as he was last season, I would keep Cody Gakpo. You need forward depth. If you sell him and bring in a guy like Ibrahim Mbaye, who's going to play the number 9 if Alexander Isak gets injured? You can't rely on Isak for a season that you might be playing 50+ games in. You can't do it. And I would keep Cody Gakpo in the number 9, like backup number 9 role. And I think the club intends on keeping him too, unless you get a big offer like you did for Luis Diaz a couple years ago. If you get like 70 million for Gakpo, you sell him. But right now, that's not what I'd be looking at if I was Liverpool. So realistically, I would go. I think they'll end in third/fourth. I don't know which one it is yet, but an A+ season would probably be maybe second somehow if City just drop off a cliff. But I still don't think they will, even with Enzo Maresca.
I have no disagreements in terms of the expectations for Liverpool. My hope is that you guys finish much, much lower. just because I can't sit here and be too optimistic about your team. Do you guys have anything else in terms of expectations that you're looking for out of Liverpool? As Milo, you guys were rivals for a long time during that back and forth stretch with Salah and Klopp.
City pool.
Yeah, but no longer.
Yeah.
No, I just think you were spot on with that analysis. You shouldn't be aiming to win a Premier League. Just get back to winning ways and build the foundation. I feel like we've talked a lot about foundation. But I guess that's an unreleased episode. But yeah, get out there, build up the youth, get the center back pairing nailed on. Hopefully, get one of the young center backs going, and just aim for Champions League. I think those are pretty realistic expectations.
Yeah, agreed. All right, Peyton, thank you for coming and talking about Liverpool.
Yeah.
Like, we very rarely do it, and we do that on purpose because unless there's
Yeah.
somebody that's important enough and actually knows the game well enough, we just don't like most Liverpool fans. So
Yeah.
go ahead and tell the
Understandable.
people where they can find you. If you have any last remarks that you want to make about Liverpool, do it now, and then we'll continue on with the show.
Yeah, no, thank you guys for having me on. I understand Liverpool is not, everyone's favorite team. But I'll be on anytime, even to talk about whatever. It doesn't have to be Liverpool. I enjoy talking European football. So for me, you can find me at Anfield headlines underscore on Instagram. Trying to hit 20K followers by the end of the year again. Thank you all for having me, and excited for what the future holds in this Prem season. So good luck to all of your teams.
Heck yeah. Well, thank you
Not
for
United,
coming
though.
on. Oh, that's fine. That's fine. That's
Not
fair.
United,
That's understandable. We can't root for each other do well. That will never happen.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again for coming on and chatting your stuff, and we'll definitely have you on sometime during the season.
Yeah,
Thanks,
sounds
man.
good. Thank you, man.
All right. See you later.
Peace out.
And then there were three. The original three. Sorry, guys. You guys have to deal with us. Glory, glory, Man United. I am a very happy human. Look. I love Marcus Rashford. And if anyone's been following us for a while, that's you know that. I have a Barcelona Rashford jersey. I got it for his loan. I'm Rashford FC. I'm super fucking biased, and I won't hide that. I love the guy, and I think that he can be an asset for United, but I want to hear your guys' opinion first on Marcus Rashford. So, Mila, what do you think about this Marcus Rashford integration as a whole? And then maybe do you think it's going to be a positive or negative thing for United going into the season?
I think at a baseline, this is awesome. Getting to bring a academy product that was so well loved by the club back in. But in terms of whether I think he'll do good, I think that really comes down to his expectations for his role coming back into the squad. I don't know. I don't see him being a week in, week out starter that's going to have impact on the team like that. And if he's accepting of that and is willing to just be an impact substitute for most games, then I think he'll do really good. And I think you'll get that result out of him. But I don't think it'd be smart to expect him to carry the team on his shoulders on a weekly basis.
Yeah. Grant, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. Obviously, on the surface, it's a fantastic story. It's great that he's able to be back with the team. He never really should have left. If only it really just happened because you defended a criminal of a manager. But again, that's in the past. He's back, new squad number, all that stuff. But yeah, I think as long as it's able to be accepted by all parties that he's not here to start, it's not going to be a talking point. He's here as attacking depth. And quite frankly, I think that's just you guys cheaping out on those options. Haven't been willing to spend money yet this summer, but at the same time, you might. There's still a few weeks left in the window. So you can't really judge that until the window fully shuts. So I do think there's a little bit of that. And my big concern is that, unfortunately, we know how this media operates. They're going to make stories out of it. And not that it's his fault. It's not the club's fault. It's really just the media's fault, but it's going to turn into a bigger story than it should be. And that's really just the frustrating part, because what Mila just said is what should happen. But you just know there's going to be some BS at some point. That's not going to be his fault. That's not going to be the team's fault. It's just so unfortunate that it has to be that way, because it really shouldn't be.
Yeah, he's been penciled out as that guy that they were going to attack for some time. And that sucks because he's a great human, aside from being like a really good footballer. And so we've talked about that before. It's nauseating to me. Like even the stuff that came out right like yesterday. And you're like, really? Dude was on vacation. You guys, they it almost is an obligation. Like the amount of people that he's signing jerseys for kids. He's just being a professional, just doing his job, right? Like in a situation that's probably a little uncomfortable for all parties. Like he's showing up to work, he's doing his job, and they're still finding ways to just bash the shit out of him. I'm like, this makes no sense.
He's too turned up. Like, what are we doing? Like,
what are we doing is right. And I've heard a couple of things recently in terms of this Rashford thing, and the idea is like this shouldn't be romantic because of the way that it ended, and I think that's horseshit. You have a Manchester boy who lived the dream of many United fans who, you know, it didn't work out. But in all good movies and all good stories, there's a redemption arc, right? Why wouldn't you want this as a United fan? I think me and Mila talked about it in the summer. How many left? Is he not a top 10 left winger in the world? Can you name me 10 people better than Marcus Rashford today that with confidence better than Marcus Rashford in the left wing position? The dude had 25 G&A for Barca. Like, we could pick straws potentially, right? Like Bradley Barcola, the guy that we were just talking about, just because he's younger, didn't have as productive of a season for a team that also was probably in a similar like category in terms of club's perception and didn't do half of the stuff that Rashford did last season on loan, right? So I find it just like this weird, stupid, nauseating story that people are just like, I don't want to see him succeed because I have an agenda against him. And like I said, I'm biased, right? I want to see him succeed because I have that bias. But I can't understand any fan right now that's going, I hope Marcus Rashford does poorly. Because if he does poorly, then United probably do poorly from a certain extent. And going into the season, I think we can more about just the structure of the team. He's United's best left winger today. Yeah. Like Cunha, we talked about this all of last season. Cunha is not a left winger, right? He's like an inside forward off the left. And that has its utility. And absolutely, he's fantastic. He will be the nailed-on starter for week 1, right? But in games where you need that touchline, get a ball in the box, create chances from the byline, like there are not many players better in world football than Marcus Rashford at that exact thing. And we saw it during the Champions League run, especially like that Newcastle goal or the goal in El Clasico. You're telling me that you don't want that talent at your club just because you don't like an interview? Or because of the way it ended when he was almost forced out of the club, your boy,
not like almost.
No, he was forced out. And like the way that they treated Mainu during that period, like you there's parallels, dude. It's not like this crazy thing. United were awful. And we talked about that for a year during that stretch, right? It was like every week nauseating us being like, this is fucking awful. They're playing like shit. They're treating their stars like shit. Why wouldn't everyone just be like, look, I mean, they could have spent like 60, 70 million on Somerville. Right? Is Somerville a better player than Marcus Rashford?
No,
maybe if
all of
what
that,
you're looking for,
all that
I don't know.
Negativity just comes from keeping Amorim, literally. Like I think it is that simple, and that's why I was so angry that you wouldn't just say get rid of this asshole for so long, because what he did to Rashford, what he was then going to do with Mainu. At the end of the day, you do need those core Carrington guys that understand it. I think the reason so many people within the fan base, and again, I'm just looking at it from the outside, that wanted him out with these agendas, Dylan. I think it's just that idea of moving on. It's a new era. You know what I mean? And whether he is or isn't, or he fits into the characteristics of what he wanted to clear out, he was there for those eras, for the bad. Sure. So some of them just associate him with it. And it's like, oh, we need to clear it out. But at the end of the day, I agree with most of what you said. You're not going to find someone to fill that role in your squad for the right price. I just think another side of it is he did sign that contract extension. That's a big reason you can't really sell him either. But why would you? Like, yeah, he signed it. Maybe it's a bad contract. So what? But given where you are, given the other parts of the squad that can be addressed, I think it would be crazy to sell him for a low price in this market and then go buy a guy for more and then still have to fill more things in the squad. It would just be stupid. So the fact that he is willing and he's not just, yeah, fuck these guys for all this, like, which he would be justified to feel. Yeah, it's non-starter.
Yeah, my personal opinion on the whole thing is, and I was telling our other two friends that are United fans, Dari, who's usually on Cosmos, but I was saying to them that all it's going to take is one Old Trafford goal. I don't think it takes that much. I think it takes one Old Trafford goal. He goes to the corner flag, like you said, he hits the thinker, and Ahmed and his little like minion is next to him, and he's doing it too, and that's all it's going to take for everyone to get back on board. Because that's the thing, like. You can't replace Carrick. You can't replace Manchester like boys. Like that's not how that works. That's the club's identity. And that's all it takes is just this one beam of light. And Rashford's always been that. It's not like he's a bad dude in the locker room.
And what's crazy too is the way we're almost talking about it is how I was talking about some of our academy guys that maybe aren't good enough to start, but they know what it means, all that. This guy's levels above that. You know what I mean? It's crazy. You know what he's capable of. Best case, you get something like that. But even worst case, you have guys in every forward position. I don't think it's going to be a problem. I really don't. And the only way it becomes a problem is if that English media really turns it up a notch, which I wouldn't be shocked by. Unfortunately, again, that's my big fear is that that's reality. They are going to try and ruin this shit. It's that simple.
I think if they take the slow approach and they let Carrick build what he was already building, right? And Carrick is probably going to handle this situation better than most managers would, because we've talked about this, like not knowing the identity, not knowing the DNA of the club. Like even in certain portions, Carrick just handled the media better than most managers have in the past. And so this particular situation, it kind of helps having just a guy that understands exactly who Rashford is. He started in his debut. He played through him throughout multiple portions of his career. Milo, do you have any like closing remarks before we move on to Chelsea and about this particular one? I mean, you understand this from a Foden perspective, right? Like the amount of people that maybe have gotten on Foden or haven't gotten on Foden, the media perspective on Foden, it's pretty similar, just in terms of their general perception.
I think you just gotta zone out the media at this point. These big superstar players at our clubs are always going to have that limelight. They're always going to pick one player or two that are going to get shtick for whatever they do. And you've seen it with Grealish, Sterling, like you were saying, Mainu. It happens. And this is just what's going to happen with Rashford. And in terms of just him coming back, he just has to work hard, honestly. Like, the fans will come if he works hard and gives his all to the club, as he did before. I think all the bullshit and like the not coming to training and the partying and all that sullied it a little bit in a bad time where emotions were high. But now that you guys are finally starting to find some footing, I think bringing him back in is one, it'll boost your squad a bit. But two, it's the right thing to do for him. I think you guys got rid of him because it just wasn't working out. But you didn't sell him because, one, I guess the contract, but two, also, what if you want to bring him back? He's done a lot for your club. He means a lot to your club. So to get rid of him and just to say see ya would have been crazy to me. And I think it's cool. It's a cool story for him to be able to go back to his home club and prove it again. It's not like he was bad last season. He was very good last season.
Yeah. I really think it just comes down to the contract that like another club didn't go in for him. Like clearly there were teams interested. Like Barca wanted to keep him. They just didn't want to pay his wages because they can't, because they're broke. I hate that club. Anyways, let's move on. Chelsea. We were all together. I'm going to shamelessly plug the next podcast. So I do have unfortunate news. Next week, if you are a live show fan, it won't be a live show. But we did an in-person pod for the first time, and it is going to be incredible. We have expectations for the entire season as well as a fun game at the end, and it'll be a really cool video for you guys. But one of the things that we did do while all together was watch Chelsea and their preseason looks, and honestly just getting to talk about everything that has been Xabi Alonso related. This is a huge tactical change over Maresca and he who shall not be named. So Grant, going into this now, How will Chelsea line up this season? We're not going to talk about players because there's plenty of ingoings and outgoings still to come for Chelsea. That's always the case. But tactically, through the preseason now, what have you seen that's different from last season?
So I think it's a good point that you touched on it. It's slowly throughout the preseason shifted towards a different shape. So at the start, it was a 4-2-3-1, and it was still the same in possession 3-2-5. It was primarily Palestra as the attacking fullback, and then the left back would turn into a center back three. The last two preseason games, we saw that 3-4-2-1, the Chabby special, if you will, from his successful days at Leverkusen. And I thought we looked our best as someone who was very hesitant to roll with the three backs, but I think it's really important. I've been saying it before he even started the job, but we cannot get too hung up on that. And he said it himself after the game, whether it's a 3, whether it's a 4, it's the same principles. So I think understanding those principles and getting that message across is so key because, in my opinion, you saw it with Rosinha early. You saw some different ideas, but if you don't get them to buy into your ideas, it can go south very quick. Xabi Alonso is not that type of character. I don't see that happening. And I thought they bought in right away. And my favorite part about it, Pedro Neto was playing wing back. Oh, it's exactly where he belongs on a pitch. And it's a perfect role for him. So if you have a guy like Neto or Quenda that's wing back on one side and then a fullback on the other side, yeah, I'm all for it. And at the end of the day, it's about whatever sets us up best on the day. And I think there's going to be a plethora of options to do so. I think we're signing specific profiles, versatile profiles to do that. Whether it's a 4-2-3-1 and you have Rodgers as the left winger, your left back's going to be overlapping. Like I said, Palestra was a winger when he was playing, and he was very exciting. I sure hope we can get rid of Gusto because Palestra needs to play, whether it's left back, right back, that attacking fullback, he was electric. But it gives you that versatility. Or if maybe he's not available, maybe you have a game 2 days after he just gave you 90, you go to that 3-back shape, Neto's a wing back. You know what I mean? Like, as long as there are sufficient options for every matchup, I'm happy, man. So, yeah, I'm not too hung up on the, oh no, it's a 3-back. I'm not too worried about that. But I am intrigued because I didn't expect it necessarily. And my big fear with it is if you do kind of what Amarim did and you play it scared, where you don't put a winger at wing back or they don't do their job with the ball and now they're just pinned back. So to really commit to it, at least one of those guys is pretty much a winger. And that's what we saw. So that was a big part of my reservations as well.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how it all plays out when the Prem actually starts and how fluid he's going to be. Mila, what did you see through the couple of games that we saw from Chelsea? Weird preseason schedule, but are you liking the early Xabi Alonso system?
I'm gonna be honest. I didn't really watch much.
Well,
I'm not waking up that early to watch that color of blue. But everything that Grant just talked about, I think he's utilizing the personnel that he has at the club, and that's really all you want at the manager you have is to not make a big deal in the media and to work with what you have. And it seems like the board has given him a little leeway, got guys that would fit the system a little better. I think you see that in Palestra. So I think the pieces are all coming together, and the tactics should be fluid enough with a coach like Alonso, where yes, you might be in a 3-5-back in some games, but then in other games it'll be more of a 4-back because that's just what you have to do in the Premier League, and you have to be versatile. I completely feel that he'll be able to do that, and it's more so just getting the best out of these young players because again, it is a young squad, but I think he'll be all right, and I think the tactics will be more on a week-to-week basis rather than just nailed on 5-back.
And I like what you said too at the beginning, where he's using what he has. I think he's profiling these guys tremendously well so far. You're seeing the right attacking players in the pockets and the ones out wide. The back three, I think that one's a bit more difficult just because of who's not at preseason. Colwell's still coming back from injury. He's not going to play every game. And my goodness, those guys are still terrible. The guys that we've been saying are terrible for a long time are still terrible. I mean, our last preseason game was against the very dominant Malaysian champions. If you guys wanted to take a look at that table, they're nuts. But they played like criminals. There probably would have been a red card if it was a competitive game. There was supposed to be a penalty shootout that did not take place because of how fiery it got. But Tosin played in that game, and Dario Asugo wore the armband. A kid who played maybe 10 games at Chelsea. And Tosin didn't wear the armband, and my goodness, he still looked like one of the worst players out there. So he is working with what he has, but not only in a positive sense, I think in a negative sense, the guys that we thought are bad showed exactly how bad they are. I mean, even up top, Liam Delap, the only time he really had anything going on was Nicholas Jackson playing behind him. That's another interesting tactical tidbit because I'm going to fall for it again, guys. I'm going to fall for it again with Nicholas Jackson because the moments and those flashes, you just don't get that in the market today. But then in the very same move, right at the end of it, the shot's off target, right? It's the same thing. But Chabby did play him in that 10 role in the 3-4-2-1. And Liam Delap was getting chances left and right. So for whether you like Nicholas Jackson as a player, whether you don't, the pitch definitely opens up with him up there, whether it's him up top, whether it's him in the pockets. But that's another thing I'm keeping my eye on. I think if you get a 70 million offer for Nicholas Jackson, you take it. But I am not opposed to keeping him, guys. I'm not.
I honestly think that the biggest issue that he's going to run into, and regardless of tactics, is just the amount of players and finding 11s that an A11 in particular, because like even for United last season, we talked about it. We just flipped spots. Finding an 11 that can play every single week, right, and give you consistent out product. Even this preseason, like every lineup's been a little different. There's been just kind of chop and change. No, but still, what have you guys played a starting 11 or close to it?
Half our starting 11's probably gone. And preseason, you just rotate, you sub at halftime. A lot of academy involved.
I think the reason that we haven't talked about what the starting 11 for Chelsea is because we don't know what it will be. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's my biggest question mark is how quickly will he be able to get it to come together? Because this was the same thing that we talked about with United. Like, if you don't get it to come together very quickly, the pressure builds. And that's honestly his biggest thing. It's just going to be like dealing with the pressure because Chelsea it is a juggernaut of pressure, similar to it is with City or United. And getting it right away is one, super difficult, especially for a new manager in a new league. But can he get it right with a team that's still coming together? Now, I'm not saying he won't.
I think he has a little more leeway when it comes to that because of his playing pedigree, though. There's a level of respect that comes from just who he was as a player, not even as a manager. So if it does get a little rocky, it's not like he runs out of respect. They don't just throw him out the window because they already respect him as a person. I think he has a little more to work with in terms of that aspect than their past 4 managers.
Yeah, I'm not saying that he doesn't have leeway, but also we've seen this Chelsea team through these stretches, like just from a player perspective. Like maybe maybe we're gonna find out how quickly Welbeck and Henderson are important to the crux of the team with leadership, right? But we saw this team every time they've done that it's been like
but that's
spike and then the low points and
yes, but then I think if you look back at their last managers, they clearly lose respect for the manager. So when you get in situations like that and you have Liam Rosenior telling you to do something, these guys are like, what the fuck did this guy know? Why would I listen to him? When you have Xabi Alonso fucking yelling at you, telling you you need to do this to get it right, I think there's a lot more chance that they're going to listen and take it to heart. So, and I just think the pressure in terms of that is not as much to someone that's lived the life and has played at such a high level and has also coached at such a high level. Like, I don't think it compares to the past, 4 or 5 managers.
I just don't know. I just can't say that that's going to happen for sure until we see it happen. You know what I mean? Like we
No.
can't, like we like
Don't fear
Chelsea
None of the
media machine
players
is
for Chelsea
absurd.
have any level to even chat to him. I think that was part of
I'm
the
not-
issue with Madrid.
I'm not even saying from much like the player's perspective is one thing, right? And to your point, like
The
maybe
board?
because no, not even the board. I just think that the media on Chelsea just crushes people. It
The
does that.
media in England crushes
insane.
everyone. That's just
Right.
something they have to deal with. And
That's what I'm saying.
But that's another thing. He's dealt with it as a player. It's worse. So it's like, I don't know. I think he'll be fine. I genuinely all the off the
I'm
pitch
backing
stuff.
him to
Like
be
I
fine
think he'll
too,
be able
but-
to roll with it, and it really comes down to just being able to mold the youth that they have.
To answer the original question, Dylan, with like there's just so many guys there. Do you doubt that Chelsea are going to sell another 5 players? Like, I mean, they've done it every summer. I'm not worried
No.
about getting rid of guys. And to kind of the point we were starting with, it's going to look a little different every game, but in my head, the spine's all but in place. People started hating Bob again. Not me. Robert Sanchez will probably end up in goal. Lacroix and Colwill, more often than not, are going to be your starting center backs. Fullback, it gets interesting because Reece James can be an outside center back. There's no chance he plays wing back. I sure hope not. I think he can very well end up playing the pivot if we don't get a marquee midfield signing and Lavia continues to not be able to play consistently. So that's an interesting one. But Caicedo's 100% going to be in that pivot.
Sure.
Rodgers and Palmer are going to be in that attack, and João Pedro's going to be up top. So depending on the opponent you're playing, because when we first went to the 3-back shape, we were playing Amarim's Milan. So there's, as much as I loved our performance, there's only so much you can take from playing against the Ruben Amorim side. But I think your core is there. I mean, I think João Pedro, Palmer, Rodgers, Caicedo, Colwill, that works. And it's really up to Xabi to get the best out of the rest. Like you said, Dylan, this is his job. He needs to identify who works best with these set of players, given the circumstances, which is a different opponent once a week. But I do think the once a week talk, we've talked about it so often.
Yeah.
You guys did go out in the first round of each cup. We have Luton at home for the second round of the Carabao Cup. We should win that game.
Yeah.
If you get favorable draws, which we sure as hell did last year, we can very well end up playing, I think it was 51 games. We played 59 last year. So if we do well in our cup competitions, I mean, we play 3 games in our first week. So that can end up congesting the schedule. But at the same time, depending on how many players we're able to get rid of, that might end up working into our favor.
Good. I mean, you said a bunch of names, right? And like we didn't talk about Steve or Quenda or Gusto. Like the thing is, like, yeah, they probably
you
will.
Ruined it. You were on a roll.
Or Enzo or Welbeck. Like João Pedro was playing in the 10, and we were talking about that. Like that's like what we don't know. It's such a question mark, and like I just don't know how quickly he's going to put it all together.
Yeah, a lot of the guys are missing.
To your point, he should be allotted the time to figure it the fuck out. You should be given the whole season to figure it out, but I can't say with any confidence that I know what Chelsea's board's going to do in any given moment. And I don't want to.
I think their power's gone, Dylan. Their power is gone. We have a manager now, not a head coach.
We say this every summer.
The head coach is not sitting in the corner chair, Dylan.
We say this every summer that they're changing, they're doing stuff, and then like halfway through the season, we're like, oh, they actually didn't change. They just made it look like it for a little bit.
You are absolutely right, but I'll go to. I think it's a good place to end it. Is what Mila said. These guys absolutely down tools with Liam Rosenior. I don't think that's cool. I don't think that's okay. But as a fly on the wall, actually not even a fly on the wall. We don't know what the hell went on. I find it very unlikely that the same thing happens with Xabi Alonso because he's going to be on the training pitch showing these guys what's up. See, if you end up in this position, bam, hits a 30-yard ball on the money versus, again, the Rosenior touch against Arsenal. Like, that man is respected, and he's going to show you at practice, not just his name. He's going to show you why he's respected. So I do have a lot of faith there. Maybe it's just because we haven't played yet. We haven't hit a bump in the road yet, but yeah, I'm not too worried about him. I really just think it comes down to clearing out all of the shit.
Yeah, I just know the exact headline. I've already envisioned the headline that's going to happen. I did. Madrid manager leaves after being disrespected by board, and by front office, right? And then
Yeah,
Chelsea
Baldy did
scored.
it last year.
Well,
It can happen again.
That's where I think it could, but that's the worst case scenario. I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't
but
think he's
I
as
already see
angry
that's
as
where-
Maresca. You know, he's more chill.
Yeah, but he's chilling the point of he just be like, fuck it, I'm out. Like that's what the media is going to run.
Yeah,
it.
sure.
That's the perspective.
I don't know. He's been back
I think
so
he's gonna
far,
be
but
good.
yeah, you never know. You never know.
I think he's going to be a home run. I'm just providing a different point. We don't have anything to talk about right now. I need the big.
I appreciate
we need the
you
bomba.
arguing against me, Dylan. Thank you.
I just need something.
Keeping me sharp.
I've actually enjoyed some of the preseason stuff from Chelsea in general. But
no more preseason.
No more preseason. No more
These are
preseason.
big trophy guys.
This is the trophy of the season.
This is like the midway between preseason and the actual league startup, but this is for me is the start of the Premier League season every year, and that might be because my team has been part of it a lot of the time. But
that helps.
For me, this is what we do, and this is the jump start to the season. It's a low stakes way to get into running form, but knowing my team of old, they don't do that. So yeah, at the start of the preview, like I just want them hit the ground running, like we've been doing, and I want to give them hell for the fullbacks, the outside backs for Arsenal struggled in the last game, and our wingers have been really good. Like I just want chaos and hell for them.
Who won the Community Shield last year? Palace?
Community Shield curse Mila, or is it a new slate, fresh slate?
I think we talked about it. Maybe it was in person. Maybe it was on the
was
pre-recorded pod. But who knows? Could have been a Pep thing. I think they just need to go out there and start as hot as possible. So if that means winning a Community Shield as your first trophy, then go get it, snatch it, and then we'll go from there. We'll win the next trophy coming up. Carabao.
Yeah, I think there's a certain edge to this game. Like, I know that it's preseason, and I know that it doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things, and it won't. But
teams also don't like each other.
Yeah, and even like we saw it. That was 2 years ago, where Arsenal beat you guys on pens in the way that they celebrated. There is animosity, and I think it has a little bit extra than the normal Community Shield. Like even the Palace one, like it was a bigger one for them, and like they got up for it. But like the ones in the past, it's just kind of like, yeah, it's the start of the season. We all get back in the groove. No one really remembers the Community Shield.
Mm-hmm.
This one feels a little different. Like Arsenal finally got over the top, right? And they've had a pretty bad preseason from the looks of it, right? I don't watch Arsenal preseason. And
I'm going to say it's bad without watching a minute of it.
Right, yeah, that's what it looks like. And then from the City perspective, you guys have been really good. And this is the start of a new era with the new manager. And I think that it psychologically can play a really big role. Like where I think City sides in the past, 2 or 3 seasons have started off a little slower.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's been something we've talked about. This could
4
be a kickstart. So over the last 5 seasons with Pep, they've started off slow.
That was just what Pep did, is like calibrating earlier in the season, whereas this seems a little different, a little more just we're gonna try to overwhelm them, City of old type vibe, and I'm here for it. I'm so excited.
I'm excited for it too. I actually really like the Community Shield, and maybe it's just because we don't have so much Premier League, and then we get Premier League action, and it's just like, oh, nice. But like I think this game just has a little grit to it. Like I think both teams are going to play pretty hard, whatever hard is in the grand schemes of preseason. But like I'd like to think that they're going to run out 7s and 8s, right? Like maybe they're obviously not going to get to 10s. But I feel like there's 7s in the cards here, and for a lot of the guys that are playing for minutes and for a spot under Maresca, like this is a big. I feel like this is a bigger game than it normally is.
Well, that's the thing too. Like we get all of our, I'll say, elite players back on Wednesday, so this is going to be the first time we get to see even the full squad, or what it is right now before any late additions in the window. We get to see Holland plugged into these the system where the wingers have been taking their fullbacks one-on-one and creating chances at a high clip. We get to go see fucking Haaland banging in goals. And there's not going to be Saliba either at the Community Shield. I think he's going to wreak havoc, and it's going to be a thrill to watch. Semenyo's been a thrill to watch. Doku thrown into the fold. We have a lot to work with, and we're going to probably see an Anderson debut. I think it's going to be very overwhelming for Arsenal. I think they're going to walk in with not a chip on their shoulder, but with their chests out because they just won a trophy, and they think they're the big dogs now. I just hope my club reminds them that we've been here and we're not going anywhere.
Is there anything in particular, Grant, that you are excited to see in this one from either side?
I think, when you were talking about Pep and the slow starting, I mean, from all I remember, Maresca was the opposite, where we would start hot and then slowly tail off. So I think with the squad that you have, and again, a manager who, he's probably wanting to prove himself. Not to say he needs to, but he'll definitely want to, especially filling in the first game at City with a new manager. It's been 10 years, Mila. So he's going to want to prove himself. I don't think he's going to plan to start slowly by any stretch. I think he's going to do everything he can to win as many games as possible and try to get that cushion going and really just roll and keep going. So, yeah, I think, again, we talked about it a lot in person over the weekend. I do not think we were recording, but Man City squad suits what Maresca wants to do as a manager a lot more than Chelsea's squad, and I think he did really well with the squad that he had for the time that he was right up until the very end. So, yeah, the wingers that you have, worst case, you just funnel chances to them. That was our struggle against low blocks, and it was just Neto or Garnacho going at their fullback, and we know how that goes. Now you have Doku, who we don't need to talk about in those situations. He thrives. And then Semenyo, like you said, if he's able to take another jump and be more than just sort of this transitional threat and really start being able to beat his man even against settled defenses, that can be very dangerous, let alone the plethora of attacking options you have. I think he's going to get really creative throughout the season. I think you're going to see variations to get guys in the right position. Like, let's say one of your wingers goes down. You can see Foden and Cherki start. One of them is going to look like the winger, but then the fullback's going to be overlapping. They're going to be inside. I think he's going to be very creative in that sense. And yeah, I can see City starting hot, and I won't speak on if they can keep going, but yeah, I think they should probably win this game.
I think so too.
Test the jinx early.
Eli, to answer your question, no, this was a stepping stone opportunity. Like, they have to earn their stripes, and then eventually they can play in MLS. That's usually how that works.
Mbappe went to Real Madrid, so that he can get the Real Salt Lake move right out.
That's what I'm talking about. Ernie Haaland and Mbappe. We got definitely a different nickname for Haaland. Yeah, we do. No, look, like I said, I'm a sucker for a Community Shield. I love Premier League football and everything about it. And when you have a chance to win a trophy, I think both teams should. And Woodpit, this is a really good comment because I think that we've talked about this quite a bit. We talked about it with Liverpool last year. And if you missed the portion with Peyton talking about Liverpool, if you aren't matching the intensity, right, and you're not starting off hot and you're not setting the tone for what a championship season is, you can cut off pretty bad. We talk about it all the time. Like, if you can't win a Premier League in the early portion, but you can absolutely lose it. And Arsenal, mentality-wise, if you can come out and beat City when they're not probably at their strongest, right? Like, even in a Community Shield, it could be a mental thing for them. We don't know, right? Arteta tends to do this thing with mentality, but I'm assuming this is how he's probably playing this. And he's probably trying to spin this. Is like, guys, look, I know we're not at our strongest. A lot of our guys were away. This preseason game doesn't mean anything in terms of the silverware, should it matter, even though he has totally said that the Community Shield has mattered. He has mentioned that many times before. I think this, for Arsenal, this could be the start of what could be a very good season for them. It also could be the thing that we look back on and go, they didn't handle the pressure right from the jump. And we'll have to wait and see. And obviously they're not going to be a full squad, but
They're not handling the pressure.
I don't think so. But
You
I
can clip.
also
yeah, no, go ahead.
That was it.
I thought you were
That was-
talking
okay.
no, but I think to the point of having that drop in intensity, that I feel like we do see that happen often. With the context of Arsenal and what they've been these past few years and how long it took them to finally get over the line, I definitely think you can argue, and I know Facundo would argue, that it can have an opposite effect of you're finally free. You don't have the big one's done. The monkey's
Maybe.
off your back. So that is a possibility where there's just this newfound freedom, and it doesn't look like the Arteta ball of the last few years, how uninspiring it was going forward. It very well might happen, but I also think with just the amount of players that have so many miles on them, I mean, we talked about it even before they ended up getting over the line for a few years now, just running guys into the ground. Saka was not at 100% for the entirety of the World Cup. Declan Rice seems to be limping around and still playing 90 minutes every 3 days. Saliba's going to miss an extended amount of time. Does that continue to happen? Because, again, being in such close proximity with Facundo, all I've heard about for the past 3 years were injury problems. So does that get worse now? I'm not sure. So it can go a few different ways, and I feel like they're all polar opposite.
I don't see a renewal in style and energy coming from them, especially just in terms of the squad makeup.
For sure.
They don't have the squad makeup to go back to quick possession football. Like the style they have now is what they're going to be doing going forward, and I think the Premier League's gone in a bit of a different direction. Even though it just went in their direction last year, it already has rules against a lot of the physicality that made them so successful. And also, yeah, injuries. Like their best center back, if not one of their best players, is hurt for a significant period of the season. So they're going to have people fill in for him, and for a backup to be in that position when you have a gigantic target on your back, because not only are you champions of the Premier League, but you're fucking obnoxious. So every team's going to want to beat you. I don't think it's going to be easy for them, and I don't think they'll handle it well whatsoever. Kind of what I was saying with Liverpool, but that had more to do with Slot being a fraud. I just think, yeah, what Pitt, like Saliba being out is huge for them. And like Dylan was saying, like it can get really ugly quickly in the beginning. And that's not the be all end all, but it can have a massive impact, and they're going to be just behind it, I think, to start off and not able to catch up. I don't think they'll have an abysmal 6th or 7th season, but I don't see them coming close to the title this year. If I'm wrong, fair play. But yeah.
Yeah, I just don't think their forward line is anywhere near good enough to go back to back in the Premier League. And like you
There's
said,
gotta be an incoming. Gotta be.
What is it?
No,
At
I
this
don't know,
point,
but
no.
there's
Like
gotta be an incoming, right?
We were talking about in terms of Barcola,
Neto.
if
Oh,
it's,
yes,
that's what I'm saying.
Milan. I'm glad
That's
you
what I'm
brought that up.
Sure,
Pedro
like
Neto.
that's what
They
I'm
will
saying.
win the league.
The quality is just not there anymore. They lost their chance. They had it, they lost it. Unless they go and they steal
Neto,
Barcola, like
Gyökeres, Madueke, quadruple.
Saka.
No, that's a front three
Yucky.
that'll win you a quadruple right there.
A quadruple of boiling pot and a boiling shit in a pot. The smell.
Cooking
The
poo.
smell. I do want before we end it, the one thing that I do want to talk about with Arsenal, because you said Elliot Anderson's probably going to make a debut. I'm assuming that Bruno Guimaraes is going to make a debut. And
Huge
in
signing.
terms of mentality, right? Like if you were going to drop a player in for a team that has the target on their back and needs to have maybe a boost of more bastardness, I don't know if you could add any more to that team already, but just a boost in terms of personality that wants to still win things, right? Like this is the whole reason he's making this move. I'm very curious to see how he plays in an Arteta system. I think he'll be fine. I think that's one of the signings of the summer for me. I just think it's just good business. But how does he deal with that pressure of being on a team that's aspirations are winning the league? And how does he get off right away? Like, does he play well with Arteta's system? Does he look better when he's next to certain people? Like, I don't even know who they're going to start,
Yeah.
or who they're going to play. I'm assuming that he gets his debut though.
Yeah. I mean, I think he'll be fine, like you're saying, but really his success in his role at Arsenal comes down to what he can do in progressing the ball from a deep position.
Sure.
Because
Yeah.
that's kind of what they're missing. And that's what the gap he fills. So if he's able to play long balls, which is part of his CV, then he should be pretty successful. And then at that point, it comes down to will the forward line, which we think is lacking, be able to put chances away or create from the chances that he creates. And I don't see it.
Yeah, front line is jarring right now. I mean,
Garbage.
Solis, Martinelli, Madueke, Saka are their wide options. Man, Gyökeres and Havertz.
Spell.
Jesus is still there.
Jesus
That's
is
why
leaving
I say
within-
they have to bring in an attacker. I mean, I'm sorry. Like, that is an insanely poor attack. Like, that's how good they were at winning second balls.
Why would they?
In their
what-
defense, that's
who-
how good their defense was. Because
Literal
that
shit.
attack is not it.
The smell. That meme is so good. That meme is so good.
I mean, they did. I mean, the attack, I think they play a different way now. I think that they almost have been handcuffed the last few years. There's much less freedom in attack, and Saka's physically not the same. I'd argue Odegaard as well. And Havertz. I just will never think he's good. So yeah. I understand what he adds, but
I need to know before we wrap this up, Woodchip, and you can add this at the very end here. How many games have these dudes played together since that season? My guess, them all starting in the same team together is maybe 5. Maybe 5.
I think are we getting the Predicky counter started this year?
I want to do it differently this year, and we'll figure out how. So this one won't count for the Predicky counter, but I do want to do Predickies. So Predicky's star player, and then we'll get out of here.
3-1 City.
3-0 City. Oh.
Star player.
Foden.
Holland. If he plays, Semenyo, I think, is a more locked in player.
So you're going Semenyo or Holland?
I'll go Semenyo.
Okay. I'm going to meet you guys in the middle here, and I'm taking 3-1 Semenyo. Cool. Hour and 26 minutes. It'll be an hour and 30 by the time we're done. That's not bad. Had an amazing guest on, Peyton. Thank you very much. If you guys aren't following him already and you are a Liverpool fan and you are here for the first time, sorry. We don't talk very much Liverpool because we don't like your club. And I'm not apologetic about that. But Peyton's a great guy, and he does great work for both Talking Galaxy, his other podcast, and then Anfield, and does all that stuff.
Headlines.
Which,
come on,
thank you.
Anfield Headlines _.
Thank you, Anfield Headlines _. If you need to find him, he will be in the description as well. And then we're this. Mila, you want to plug the other podcast? I'll say thank you, and then we'll get out of here.
Clash of Cosmos. We've made some signings. We've been on break. Signings have been training. That's really all we got right now. There hasn't been much to talk about. The club is not involved in Leagues Cup. So we'll probably preview the upcoming game and what we expect to see from the new signings. And yeah.
Yeah. And is that tomorrow? Jeez.
7 tomorrow?
Yeah, we don't ever stop, man. This pod, this channel, we don't ever stop. We're COC Network. That's what we do, baby. Like I said, next week we will not be doing a live show. We will be doing our in-person pod, so it should be a great time. You guys should really check it out. It's got tons of content and a lot of funny moments. But to the 861 of you guys currently subscribed, thank you very, very much. Eli, thank you for your super chats tonight. We appreciate you always being lively in chat. Woodpit, welcome to COC Network. And we'll see you guys.
I've enjoyed your comments, Woodpit. I usually have to suffer my annoying neighbor who is much less reasonable, and I hope you see that, Facundo. So thank you for your discourse, sir.
Yeah. Chat, thank you guys. Subscribers, thank you guys. From myself, Mila, and Grant, we have been Clash of Clubs. This has been episode 104, and we will see you guys in the next one.
2 words for him. Different gravy. Glorious goal! Wreathed in red. We're really seeing the most extraordinary finish here. On this day of days, has he delivered? Just magnificent! Potentially life-changing! That's football. Minute you let it under your skin, then you begin to make it better.